Welcome back to another Headwater Sage and Blake's Tinman podcast. Today we have Jacob Korklewski with us, and I'm super excited for you to share your mental health journey. And we're going to just start with an introduction of who are you, how old are you, what do you do for a living, and then let's go right into your story of when did you start struggling with mental health.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me. First off, this has been something I've wanted to do for a long time, but don't feel like I've necessarily been ready to do so until now. But anyway, yeah, I'm Jacob Korklewski. I just turned 22 about a month ago, and I am a city mail carrier in Prairie du Sac, and in Reedsburg and Lodi and Merrimack and Sauk City. I'm kind of all over the place, but yeah, I'm based out of Prairie du Sac and been there 2 years now, and I love it. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your story and when did you start to recognize or notice that you have been struggling or that you started to struggle with mental health?
Yeah, so I would say one thing that's been consistent in pretty much my whole life is low self-esteem. But I think my story really kind of starts in a place that a lot of people, especially my age, can relate with, and that's the COVID-19 pandemic. It was really, we got let out of school early in March of 2020, and then so it was going from a 6-month long summer where none of my friends had jobs and basically just doing whatever we wanted without a care in the world, to going back to school full time like nothing happened, while I was still kind of stuck with my head in the clouds, was a very jarring transition for me. And yeah, I don't know, for the first time, just I really had no motivation to do schoolwork, even though I always had done well academically, but it just kind of snowballed.
Going from that in-person to virtual really
Right.
wreaked havoc on
Yeah.
mental health.
And then yeah, and I played baseball and soccer all my life. Quit basketball in 7th grade because I don't know why I even ever played basketball because I hated it. But that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, baseball that spring, I remember, I was on a team with a lot of upperclassmen that I wasn't really comfortable around, didn't really get along with the best. Was kind of in a weird bubble between JV and varsity, where they basically told me, we need you up on varsity in case we need you to pitch or something, but I only pitched once. I was like, just send me back down to JV. I don't care.
I want to play.
Yeah, I want to play. And yeah, but it was kind of a disaster, that in itself, and I didn't go back out my senior year because I hated it by the end of it. So that was the first time I legitimately felt like something was off. I remember telling my mom, it's weird that I still remember this vividly. We were about to go out to eat for someone's birthday dinner or something, and I was having one of my little breakdowns. I've been having them for a while at this point, but I pulled my mom into my room and I was like, Mom, I think I'm bipolar or something. And yeah, she just had to calm me down. And
Because you were happy at one moment and then not, or what was your breakdown like? Was it a panic attack or?
Yeah, I guess looking back, I would compare it more to a panic attack. I didn't really have much of a grasp on mental illness at the time, so I was just I'm happy sometimes, and then I'm really upset other times. So that's just kind of what I thought. And so she calmed me down, and then that was kind of that for a while. Yeah, nothing really too crazy happened for a long time. I know
So you started to feel around 2019, 2020. How old were you? Probably 16, 17?
Yeah, so this was, baseball, this was my junior year.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't mention that. This was spring of 2021. So
Okay.
I would have been 16, 17, probably just turned 17. And yeah, after that day, it just, I don't know. It's like we kind of just forgot about it, I guess. I mean, I still had my good days, my bad days, but yeah, I mean, that was that.
And then, so probably a few months ago, you came in, or you actually, like, let's back up.
Yeah.
Where did you hear about Blake's Tinman?
I'm sorry. Can we like back up a little?
Yeah. Tell more to the story. Perfect. Yeah.
So I would say like, yeah, we did kind of forget about it for a while, and that's just kind of how things were. But I would say where it kind of like blossomed into full blown depression was like fall of 2021, because that's now I'm starting thinking about like, okay, what am I gonna do after high school? Like, I don't really have any ideas. I wasn't interested in like trades or anything. I didn't want to go necessarily to like a 4-year school, because I'm still not exactly sure where it came from. I mean, I've always just been kind of like an introvert, but I had developed like such a social anxiety at this point that I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could handle, moving that far from home and basically starting over with new people. So I chose to do 2 years at the Baraboo campus, the Platteville campus over in Baraboo, which is no longer open, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
sad.
so yeah, I did that, made some friends over there, but then I got my 2-year degree, but like it kind of, I feel like I didn't really get anywhere through my time there, because I had cycled through different majors. Like, I went there, well, I wanted to focus on business, took a couple business classes. I'm like, yeah, I hate this. Then it was psychology, because I still love psychology. It really interests me. But I was like, no, I don't want to get a master's. So, because you basically need a master's to do anything with psychology, as far as I'm aware. And then it was forestry, which I'm not really sure where that came from, but that came and went too. So, it's spring 2024. I'm going to be done soon, and that was one of the lowest points in my life, because I felt like I just basically wasted 2 years and no career prospects had come up. So I would say it's just funny how things happen sometimes without you looking, though, because my dad had just mentioned randomly one day that the post office just really needed help if I was interested. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Sounds kind of fun. So, I mean, I tried it out, and I was like, okay, have to make this work, because there is no plan B. And I guess now not 2.5, but a little over 2 years in, I'm fortunate enough to still be there and loving it. So, yeah, I would say up until the beginning of last year, that's kind of just how things were. Just as I moved through time and got more anxious about the future, the depression just kind of got worse and worse and worse. I mean, I had thought about suicide as early as July of 2022. At first, it was just a couple times here and there, but like by spring of 2024, it was like almost every day I was thinking about it, But so yeah, it just kind of snowballed, and I really felt powerless to stop it, I guess.
When you were heavily in the depression, did you have to seek out medication? Or did you use any medication for depression?
I didn't. And I don't really know why I felt the need like I had to just completely solo this.
That's respectful. I mean, it's respectable too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that either.
Yeah, and it's just, I feel like I'm a paradox almost sometimes, because I was like, I've always had that mindset. It's like, if anyone ever needs to talk, like, I'm willing to listen, but it's at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to talk to anyone. I just, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't until January of last year, 2025, when I was like, I literally just can't do this anymore, and I need to tell someone about this. I think I had like done some dumping like in little like bursts to like my friends and my family. Like they knew some stuff was up, but they never knew like how bad it was until January of last year. So
Did it feel good to finally talk about it?
It did. What I did was I basically I thought about it for a long time, and I sat down at night in my bedroom for like 5 hours and just typed up this massive letter that I was planning on sending to everyone and like my core friend group, you know, and their families. So they all read that, and then, you know, I told my parents at about the same period, and then
like a letter explaining how you were feeling.
Yeah, like
not
how
a suicide letter, or was.
No, it was like how I was really feeling,
Gotcha.
but yeah. So I mean, I still wasn't really planning on getting help, I guess. I mean, I just wanted people to know. I mean, I was honestly at the point where I was kind of legitimately doing something to myself. So I was like, I at least wanted people to know what the deal was. So it wasn't just an absolute shock, you know. But yeah, I mean, I still didn't want really help, but eventually I caved. You know, a couple of my friends finally convinced me. But yeah, I don't know. So that's kind of.
They convinced you to go get help?
Right. Yeah, and I'm glad I listened because, man, like, I don't know how much longer I could have done this on my own.
And what did you do to seek help? Like, what was the help that you received at that moment?
So, I think the first thing I did is I set up an appointment with my primary, and she prescribed me Buspirone, which I'm still on right now. It's an anxiety medication. And then I think a little while shortly after that, it was Prozac, very common SSRI antidepressant. And kind of just rolled that out for a while. I mean, she was pushing counseling on me for a while, and then, you know, I'm kind of stubborn. That's how it has been with everything. Eventually, you know, I push back and then I cave eventually. So I did. Got very lucky. I love my counselor. I still see her. Don't really ever plan on stopping either. Yeah, things were mostly okay for a while. I think the thing a lot of people don't realize about antidepressants is they're not just a happy pill. They kind of just numb you, so you don't really feel anything. It's better than feeling crushing depression, but it's still not great in my experience. You know, you just kind of flat.
Yeah. So. I agree, and I feel like even with like working with my own clients, I feel like it is a, you know, an integrative approach between holistic and Western medicine, right? Mm-hmm. When we have that crushing depression, those pills are there for a reason, right? Like they're there to save your life, right?
Yeah.
But you nailed it on the head. It's very much like this numbing. It's a beta blocker, right? They're blocking all emotion. They're blocking all feelings. So it's like, do you feel joy? I don't know. Do you feel happy? No. Do you feel sad? No. I'm just numb. Like I just feel this numbness, which is, people say, is better than this this depression, right?
Yeah.
This dark hole of a depression. But there's so many different modalities of like working through these low points and these high points, and I just wanted to touch base on that. Like that was a good observation of like just knowing it's not a happy pill. It's not what they're for. They are a numbing agent, and there is an integrative approach to it. It shouldn't be something that we're on for the rest of our life, you know. But if we need them, they're there. But there's other approaches as well. So I just thought that was a good thing to state. Yeah,
and that's definitely something I wish I would have understood better at the time. You know, like I asked questions about the medications and side effects and stuff like that, but I wish I had understood from the get-go that they're like a medication, you know. Sorry. They're there as like a lifeline, you know, and they're like a Band-Aid, not a fix. I didn't really understand that. It's crazy how much my perspective on like psychiatric meds has shifted in the past year and a half. Like now it's like, okay, yeah, get on this, and maybe it'll like literally keep you here for a long time. But in the meantime, let's figure out the core issue, and then once we address that, then let's get you off of it as soon as we can. You know, so that's kind of where I'm at now, is trying to just get down to as few medications as I can. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I was numb for most of early 2025, and it was better. But then things kind of ramped up in an unexpected way. In like early March, I hadn't been sleeping well for some time. So at work some days, it was mainly at work, I would just notice, you know, like everyone sees things like out of the corner of their eye and stuff. So I kind of just dismissed it for a long time. But then it started just happening frequently enough to where like it seemed like kind of like a pattern. And then it wasn't necessarily always out of the corner of my eye anymore. Like I would catch glimpses of like people walking around. So at this time,
that weren't there.
Right, yeah, okay. Right. Like, yeah, I'd like look and then I'd be like, wait, what? And then look back and they were gone, you know? So yeah, at this point I was just on Bispirone, Prozac, and seeing my counselor. But at this point, after a while, I was like, okay, I feel like this is just not normal. Something else is going on here. So I finally got into... Actually, I brought this up first to my primary because I hadn't yet started seeing my psychiatrist. But so she prescribed me Zyprexa, which is a really common antipsychotic, probably the most powerful antipsychotic. And this was like mid-July at this point. I kind of just had dealt with it for a long time, but I think July is when I finally caved. That's when I first got in to see my psychiatrist. And things were really good for a while. Like, I didn't really have many auditory hallucinations. Like, there were a couple times. Like, I remember one time specifically, I was like laying in bed trying to fall asleep, and I just heard like this really loud scream that I don't know how else to explain it. Then it's just like super jarring and confusing because it's like, what's happening, you know? Like, I was worried. So I was like, oh my god, like, is this like the beginning of schizophrenia or something, you know? I was looking into it and I was like, okay, it seems to usually develop in people around this age. But yeah, the antipsychotic kind of just killed that in about mid-July, and then things were good for a while. Yeah, nothing really too noteworthy happened after that. I thought I was kind of just going to just coast it out. I was feeling better because it also helps boost your mood a little bit. Mm-hmm. So between that and the Prozac and the Bispirone, like, I was like, perfect. You know, everything's taken care of. We can just ride off into the sunset.
Until...
Yeah, so now... Late July... I don't know how else to describe it besides saying it's just like the lights went out all of a sudden. Like from... I don't know. It's like... I know like a psychotic break looks a little different for everyone. Some people remember theirs. Some people remember nothing. I'm in the latter camp. I basically remember nothing from the end of July till like mid-September. I don't really remember. I don't have any, like, a single specific memory except for, well, there's one really significant one.
From July to September?
Yeah.
Wow. That
I remember vividly, which you can get into in a second. But yeah, the rest of it's just like a complete void in my memory. But I do remember kind of what it felt like. You know, I wasn't on like this rampage or like crime spree or anything or like violent or anything like that. But it was just like... That's another thing I forgot to mention too. It was before, like, leading up to like early that summer, I was really starting to like have issues. I guess kind of like seeing reality properly. Like I had started to believe like, oh, like, do my friends and family really care about me, or are they just putting up with me? It was kind of just like that doubt that was just creeping in, But then like once this stuff started, like it was like full blown delusions. Like I was like convinced people were trying to kill me. I'd have dreams about my friends trying to kill me. Like it was just, there was not a break from it. I completely lost touch with everything around me.
Did your mind, like thinking mind ever go to, is this the medication doing this to me, or is this like my mind? Like, were you just asking all the questions? I'm sure.
I never once thought about it being the medication affecting me. I was convinced that this was my reality now. And the world around me just felt so completely like alien to me. Like I felt like, like someone else was in the driver's seat, and I was basically just like spectating my own life. If that makes sense. I mean, I know this is hard to describe, but like people would talk to me, and like it took me like so long to like process what people were saying, because I was like, you talking to me? Like, like, am I even here right now? I don't know. But I still like needed that, because that was like the only thing that was keeping me like somewhat present. But yeah, it was, I don't know. I mean, I feel like for me it was more distressing than any depressive episode I've ever had. Like it was miserable.
Was it scary?
It was scary. 'Cause yeah, like I said, when something like this, I think, yeah, I didn't know when or if it would ever end. I thought I was just kind of gone.
And you're so young.
Right.
Like at that time, 20 years old, 21?
21,
21
yeah.
years old. You got your whole life ahead of you, just feeling like, what the heck is happening to me?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't remember exactly why, but it might have been shortly after I started the Zyprexa. I actually got off of Prozac. I don't really remember why. But the only thing I remember about this period was like in late August, I got put on a different SSRI called Prestique. Was only on it for like 2 weeks, and then that actually landed me in the ER, because it tanked my mood so much. It was like the only time still where I like had a plan to hurt myself and was going to carry it out. Like I just remember being in my psychiatrist's office, and she just asked me like, okay, are you having thoughts of hurting yourself? And I said, yeah. And she's like, do you have a plan? And I mean, I just hesitated for a second, but I was like, I have to tell her. So I just said, yeah. So she's like, okay, so we're going to walk you down to the ER. And then I texted my parents, and yeah, and that's where I spent the next few hours while they evaluated me. And I don't know, that whole day was just so like surreal to me. Like it was just like, I can't believe things got this bad, whereas like they're literally having to keep me here so I don't go out and kill myself, But yeah, that's about the only thing I remember from that period.
Did you feel like when you were being evaluated and you did tell your psychiatrist, like, was it your primary that you just told?
Oh, it was my psychiatrist.
Yeah. So did you feel like in that moment, did you feel like a relief, like a weight lifted off your shoulders, that you were able to say something and someone was there, trying to help you, trying to take care of you? Or did you feel like, this is just another thing that I'm going through, and this is, or do you not remember? Or did you feel like it helped, I should say?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember feeling like that much better. being in the ER and after all that. But I mean, looking back at it now, like I'm honestly glad that I said something.
Because if you didn't, you might not be here.
Yeah, because I think things so easily could have gone a different way, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so that's not much really changed after I got let out that I can remember. They released me the same day, and then it wasn't just like a light switch for me. Like things were suddenly back to normal. It kind of just started to fade, I guess. I was convinced at the time that it happened because like I hated myself, and that's kind of what it was, just like powering the delusions and all that around me. And I don't know if things like that can really trigger like psychosis or anything, but that was just kind of my rationing. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to convince myself that I actually love myself, and then maybe this will go away. And it kind of did, but yeah, that self-acceptance still didn't last super long, but it was enough to at least get me out of that. But
and it's such a strong thing. Like there's so much to be said about where did we learn to stop loving our own self, right? Like when did that happen? Like when did that even happen? Because most people are like this. Most people don't have this like self-acceptance, this self-love, they respect themselves, they're listening to their own body. Like we are almost at like this war against ourselves for all, like ever, you know, until we realize, hey, this body's been here our entire being, our entire existence, like wanting to be our best friend. And we treat it like this war, like this battleground of like, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not, women like men too handsome enough, pretty enough, big enough, small enough, whatever it may be. Smart enough, you don't have this career that you wanted, or you're not successful like you wanted, you don't have this house, this car, whatever it may be. And we beat ourselves up over and over and over again. And do you feel like now, you have that self-acceptance? Or are you working on it?
I'm working on it. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get there in a bit, but yeah, things again, I had a pretty uneventful. Things till the end of the year were pretty uneventful. Yeah, like New Year's and Christmas are always a good thing to look forward to, especially because my family, you know, like I'm the last of 4 grandchildren that have stuck around Wisconsin, so it's nice seeing everyone because it only happens a couple times a year. But yeah, and then around like the turn of the year, I started realizing, turn of this year, so this is January of this year now, so we're almost caught up to speed. You know, the thing about Zyprexa is that it's really all antipsychotics, but Zyprexa is the worst. It's a really heavy sedative. So much so that I know other things like Seroquel are being prescribed just for sleep now. Which I could get on a whole rant about that, but that's besides the point. Yeah. But I was really having trouble. Like I would take it at about 7 p.m. Just once a day, 10 milligrams, and I would still have trouble staying awake in the morning driving to work. You know, and I got to drive like a half hour to get to work. So this is like 6:45. I start at 7:30. And you know, some days it was just kind of like, you know, like I'm tired, but there's other days where I'm like nodding off, like I literally cannot stay awake. But I kind of had just slipped in like late December. I slipped into another pretty big depressive episode. I mean, at this point, the only people that really knew about any of this still were my parents and my close friend group and some of their parents. But I know, like, Christmas, I finally told my sister, so she was kind of in on it. But I wasn't, like, processing, you know, like, how serious this was. And, yeah, that's the other thing about it, too, is, like, your brain, I always hated the way I felt on Zyprexa, even though it, like, alleviated the hallucinations and the delusions, at least for a little bit, until it became so crazy that I don't think anything could have stopped it. But I could sleep like 12 hours, no problem, but I would never consider it like a restful sleep. It was like it was like blacking out. Like,
Ugh, yeah.
that's another thing in that time is I cannot remember a single dream that I had.
That's serious.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe I did and just didn't remember it, but like
So probably never hitting REM sleep, just feeling like you're pretty much blacked out the whole 12 hours.
Right.
And falling asleep while you're driving, feeling like you're going to fall asleep when you're driving.
Yeah. And then, yeah, I think once February hit, I kind of was like fully aware of like what it was doing to me, but I was like so depressed at this point that I just didn't want to feel anything anymore. So I was like, I couldn't, I don't know, for a long time it's like, okay, I need this pill if I don't want to have like another psychotic episode. So like, I need this is really helping me. But then it kind of just turned into, I'm just going to take it because I want to go to sleep and just, not feel anything else. I can just go home and sleep for like at least 10 hours and then, that it is what it is. So I just get home and take it as soon as I could and then just basically sleep the rest of my night away. And yeah, I felt so stuck, because I didn't want to feel the things that were happening around me, but I also knew I was losing touch with my family and my friends because we'd play like video games a lot at night and just kind of hang out, or my grandma would come over and we'd have dinner and play games, and I was missing that. Like sometimes I'd be sitting at the table and just like nodding off because I couldn't stay awake no matter how hard I tried.
So you couldn't be present at all in your life.
Yeah, it was like I was just like wrapped in this fog. It was and the only reason I stopped is because I actually it sounds crazy, but it's relevant. I wanted to try shrooms with a friend of mine. So I got off of it because I was like, I don't know how this is going to interact. So I was like, to be safe, I'm just going to stop.
Well, I'm proud of you for thinking about that. Like making sure that it wasn't going to have a reverse reaction or, a bad reaction. That's good job.
I somehow had the wherewithal to like at least have that kind of common sense because I was just incredibly reckless at this point. But yeah, so I quit for like a week to make sure it's kind of out of my system. And then we did it and had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. And then, I don't know, it's just like for the few days after that, I was like, okay, let's just, like, I feel pretty good actually. Let's try to just lay off it for a while, and just see what happens.
Lay off the medicine or lay off the
lay off the Zyprexa specifically.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I had done some research and I was like, okay, I think I can keep taking like the Bisperone, and I had been put on Lamictal at this point, which is it's actually an anticonvulsive. It's used for seizures, but it's also used as a mood stabilizer. And I'm still on that, but I did my research and was like, okay, I should be able to do this and keep taking those and be fine. So I just quit the Zyprexa. And yeah, so like a week and a half being off is like, I feel pretty good. I think I'm just gonna, see what happens. Looking back, I absolutely should not have quit cold turkey. I think a lot of people really underestimate the power of some of these medications, and withdrawal can be really brutal because a little over a week after I stopped, I had like rebound insomnia. Like I could barely sleep. I would get up to go to the bathroom. There were a couple nights I remember I'd get up to go to the bathroom. I could fall asleep just fine. But I got up to go to the bathroom at like 1, and then there were a couple nights I didn't fall back asleep till like a little after 5 a.m. and it was terrible. I'm laying there in bed feeling tired but unable to sleep, like just can't sleep, watching stuff on my phone because that usually puts me to sleep, and just I can't do it, and by the time I fall back to sleep, okay, great, my alarm goes off in a half hour. So
right,
it's just and then I started taking some like CBD and THC gummies at this point. Just I think there's some melatonin in them too. That luckily mostly fixed it. And I still do that because, I've been off it almost 4 months and I'm still scared to try sleeping without them. But no, I mean, besides that, I mean, it took a month for the pounding headaches and the pain behind my eyes to go away.
From quitting the medicine?
From quitting the Zyprexa, the antipsychotic, yeah. So I was like, I know I shouldn't have quit cold turkey, but like I'm not going to get back on it just to try to taper off, because I felt like, you know, it could be any day I get into a car accident and potentially die or kill someone else. You know, I was like, I can't go back on it, not even for another day. You know, like I have to be done. Good
for you for listening to your body in that way of like, this is not okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure that wasn't easy at all by any means, quitting cold turkey.
No. Yeah. It was, yeah. And if I could do it again, I would taper. But yeah, so that kind of led me into finding this organization. You know, I've been feeling better, being off of that, you know, so at this point I'm just on a mood stabilizer. Still, I'm just on a mood stabilizer and the Bisperone for anxiety. No antidepressants. I still don't really feel that I need them anymore, which I think is definitely a huge win.
Amazing.
But yeah, I don't remember exactly how it came about, but my mom had mentioned Blake's Tinman Foundation to me a couple times. I was like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll look into it.
Another one of those things you want me to do.
Yeah, just another one of those things that you can tell me about it, but I'm gonna be stubborn until eventually, you know, you push me and then I cave. So yeah. That's kind of what happened. I was just kind of snooping around your website, because like, yeah, I was interested in seeing like if I could do anything for you guys, because I was in a better place mentally, but still kind of like scrambling for like a real purpose, I guess.
Yeah.
Or just trying to derive any sort of value or meaning out of the life that I had. And then, yeah, that whole, like, so much happened in like this 1 week period. It was kind of crazy. I finally, yeah, because I remember that day I just came in and like helped Met Gatlin and like helped put together a couple of chairs and whatever. And then,
so you applied for a Tinman grant, or you just called him and you came in?
I just wanted to meet at first.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I had no idea that you had like the grant system or any of that. So I actually just found that kind of by accident on the website. And I was like, wait, there's stuff I can actually do to help me? Like, let's do it. Because I remember like a few weeks prior, I had just texted a friend and said like, hey, just like a reminder, that's, you know, something I always like, I make sure my people know that I appreciate them, you know, for sticking with me through all this.
That's really nice.
Just said like, hey, you know, things have been a little rough lately, but like we'll get through it. She said, you know, just like, yeah, absolutely, and you know, just take care of yourself. And you know, that's, I don't know, it seems so insignificant at the time. Like I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But I mean, truly, for like the 4 years prior to this, like I had been totally neglecting myself, and just, I think both because I didn't care and because I feel like I didn't have the energy to do so, you know. But I was like, so when I found like, you know, when I found out that you guys do like the grants, I was like, okay, like this is my opportunity to actually try to take care of myself, you know. So, and
different things that you probably haven't tried yet, right? Like,
oh yeah,
modalities of mental health help, right?
Yeah, it's just, it's kind of crazy. There's so many things on there I'd never even heard of, or like, I don't know. I was like, really? That can be helpful? I was like, I don't know. I was like, please, just, I'll try anything. Like, I don't care if it'll help. I'm willing to try it. So yeah, that's kind of, and then I don't know exactly what happened, but also somewhere in like that 1 week span, I guess like I had been talking to my dad for a while, like, cause like, I know I'm still living at home, but I'm at the point where I'm kind of wanting to start. I'd like to move out. But you know, I've been interested for a while in like investing in property, or like buying a duplex or something, and you know, just something that, you know, lighten the load on me a little bit, you know, help me make my own payments. Mm-hmm. Building came up actually just a couple blocks away. Like Alana's Salon is in the basement, an apartment upstairs, and it's something I could actually afford. it's like, oh my God, this is sweet. You know, like, this feels like such a good opportunity. But then I was like, wait a minute, Jake, you're impulsive. Let's really think about this before you get the move on. And then I was also like, okay, am I really in the headspace right now to commit to this? And I was like, probably not. So I was like, you got to be willing to just let it go. So it was hard, but I decided to just let it go. But I don't really know what happened at that point, but it just caused like this shift in me, like that moment when I just let it go. I was like, wait a minute. You're telling me that if I'm actually just like stop chasing the future that I want and just learn to be kind of happy where I am right now, that I'll feel better? Like, no way. But yeah, I don't know how that shift exactly happened, but that's just it. That's kind of what happened. And then it just like ever since then, it feels like that anxiety since about the future has been kind of gone. So yeah.
No, that's such a valid point. Is we literally we can do this stuff to ourselves, you know, when we don't realize, like, being present, being in the moment, and being right here right now, and like and trying to have like this gratitude for all the things that are happening that are good in our life in this moment, even like the dark places that we're in, like showing gratitude to like learn our lessons in these moments can like literally, you said it, like it just shifted, something just shifted inside of me, realizing I just let the future go and my anxiety went away and I was happy in the moment. Like, holy cow, like that makes me better, like that's what works.
Right.
And it does. And like, this has been around for thousands and thousands of years of just be present, be here now, breathe, like just, you know, work on being happy with who you are in this exact moment. Mm-hmm. And if we think of the future all the time, can create such chaos in our head, right? Or we think of the past, it can create such chaos in our head of like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda done this differently, or I should be here now, I should be at this moment, or I should be at this point in my life and I'm not here yet, or what am I going to do, and finances and blah blah blah. And it literally makes our mind go crazy. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what powered all of this, you know, is just anxiety about the future. That was kind of constant through all of it. And I think I realized in like early March, like two things. Like, A, you know, if I keep chasing the future that I want, then I'm never going to be happy with where I'm at now. Mm-hmm. And then B, it's like, you know, you keep thinking that like you have to get out there and make things happen, you know. But sometimes things really just fall into your lap, like the post office, or, you know, like when I sent that letter out to my friends, like I wasn't actually intending on getting any help, but, you know, they kind of just convinced me. And then like I stumbled across this foundation basically by accident. So, you know, it's just.
Or was it an accident?
Well, right. Maybe it was
is like the universe,
divine
or
intervention or something.
Exactly. I believe in that so much.
Yeah. I don't know.
I believe in it. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, things were good for like a month, and then the latest layer kind of started. So at this point the medications I think are important. So I was still on the Lamictal, the mood stabilizer, Bispirone for anxiety, and I was still taking the CBD and melatonin gummies at night, and then more CBD gummies during the day for anxiety. But my psychiatrist basically said, you know, just in case, I'm gonna give you a prescription for propranolol, which is actually a blood pressure medication, but so treats like physical symptoms of anxiety, you know, like it really actually works. Because I've always been kind of on the fence about the Bispirone secretly. Like I've never really felt much of a difference from it, but she's like, this is as needed, you know, so like if you feel like you're really gonna need it, take it. And I was like, okay, fine. So I barely ever used it, but then about mid-April, the night terrors started. And yeah, I wouldn't and occasional nightmares, I guess. But I wouldn't say, I don't know, I think a lot of different things classify like as a night terror. Like I wouldn't say I was having like these fits of like screaming or anything like that. Like a lot of people would envision like their younger kids having. But I would like wake up in the middle of the night and just be hit with like such intense emotions, like feelings of just like sadness, like panic and grief and all of this, just like the most crushing sadness I've ever felt in my life. Like it was just like I wanted to just bury my head in my hands and just cry myself to sleep because it was so painful. And you know, obviously it's going to keep you up at night. But I quickly found out is like, okay, I'm just going to try to take a propranolol before bed then. Maybe that's what I'll use it for. And luckily, for the most part, that stuff has mostly stopped since then. So I take that every night before bed too. And yeah, and then, you know, I think kind of going back to like the paranoia I started feeling in like spring of last year of 2025, like that mistrust of like my friends and my family, I guess it kind of came back, but not in like the same way. I wouldn't call it a delusion, but it was more so of just like a general mistrust. Like it's like a fear of abandonment, I guess. As things have developed and more odd symptoms and behaviors that I tend to engage in lately have developed. I've talked a lot about like my counselor, you know, possibly like signs of borderline personality disorder or something called CPTSD, which is complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Happens after like prolonged trauma and not just like one singular event like you would typically think of. So I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of traits of both. I don't know if I'm necessarily one or the other. I think they tend to appear comorbidly fairly often. They're pretty similar. But that's kind of like the center of both of them, right, is that fear of abandonment. So this kind of led to things like, you know, like intense mood swings, random bouts of anger. Sometimes I get triggered by something. Sometimes I just wake up with like this burning rage. I call it demon mode. And yeah, I just came to realize that, again, with like me being a paradox thing, it's like no matter what, you know, side I lean into, maybe BTD, maybe CPTSD, it could be a combination of both. You know, everything really is a lot of these conditions really do overlap. Like I have some traits of schizophrenic, but I'm not schizophrenic, you know, stuff like that. But the one thing that's constant is like an anxious avoidant personality type, which basically means I'm wary about getting too close to anyone, basically. And it's tough and it's confusing because I feel like I really need to have like deep connections with people in my life, people that understand me on that deep emotional level. But I'm also scared of that, you know. I don't want people to get too close because then they might just leave, you know, and I know it's just going to hurt even worse. So, yeah, I can't really describe how like isolating and lonely it makes you feel because I feel like every emotion on the spectrum at full blast, like way more than probably anyone should, except for love. You know, I just don't feel it. It doesn't matter. It's not for like lack of people trying to love me or saying that or showing affection for me or care for me, but it's just I don't have the ability to feel it really, like, basically ever. I mean, I have, like, isolated moments, few and far between, that I can feel it. Like, I think you saw me at that breathwork session back in April. That was one of those moments where I was definitely feeling it. And it's like, when I do feel it, it's like a full body high. Like, it's euphoric. The breathwork session was probably the most extreme one I felt. That was awesome, by the way. I'm looking forward to the one in July.
Yay, good.
But yeah, it was almost like an out of body experience. It was crazy. I felt like I was floating. But yeah, and there's just a lot of loneliness and shame and guilt that comes with it. You know, even though, like, my mood can be stable sometimes, that, like, the shame is always kind of constant. You know, it's like, okay, and I still feel like the depression is truly kind of over, you know, but I do have like, you know, sometimes I have like a couple day span where, like, it definitely feels like a lot like depression, but I also know that it's probably going to go away now after a couple days. Sometimes, like, I'm asymptomatic for like a month and no, I feel completely normal. But it's frustrating, you know, because you feel like you're getting somewhere and then you roll back down the hill.
And that's something that I've been taught, like, through my schooling and through my own journey, is we're going to, like, our goal, let me try to explain this. So our goal, like, through Headwater Sage, like, with Ayurvedic health coaching, breathwork coaching, through the Tinman, with these different modalities, is to tell people, hey, we're not here to make you feel butterflies and rainbows and sunshine 24/7.
Right.
We are here to help you to digest every emotion. Because when have we ever been taught that being sad, lonely, anxious, angry, all of these, like, different feelings that may feel like, yuck, why do I feel like this, is part of the human spectrum of emotion. And it's okay. Like, they're all okay to feel all of these things, but we try to suppress it. Like, oh, you're very sensitive.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing to be sensitive. It's amazing that you can feel so much, but and then this is no fault to your parents or your teachers or anybody, but, like, we're not taught in this country to learn to digest our emotion, to really feel them, to know where they're coming from, and to have the tools, techniques, modalities to move these through our body, to allow them to just be, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just said, like, I know it kind of feels like depression, but I know it's going to go away.
Yeah.
It is. But what can happen, not always, but what can happen is we feel like this deep state of depression, and our mind's like, you're depressed. And so we start to loop in this hole.
Yeah,
and
it just feeds. Yeah,
and it's just feeding each other. Boom, 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 boom. So what we try to do is just really help people to understand, like, you're not broken. You are not broken, Jacob. Like, there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
Your body's absolutely incredible. Your mind is incredible. The love that you do have, it's there.
Yeah.
Even though you may not feel it a lot, it is there. It is incredible. But we have to learn to quiet the mind enough to listen, be present enough to listen, to be able to digest these emotions, to feel them, to know what they are, and to use the different techniques or the tools in your toolbox to help you to move through them. And ask yourself, like, what do I need in this moment to get through this? Like, I'm having a night terror, or I'm having this, this bout of, and granted, it could be symptoms from side effects from the medication, etc.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking your medication. Like, it is helpful for you in this moment, right? But, like, just realizing that your body is incredible. Your body will heal itself when given the right conditions to do so. And you're doing it. You're on your journey, and I'm super proud of you for that.
Right.
So tell me more about, like, what has been helpful for you so far along your journey, right? So through the Tinman, like, what has happened? I mean, it can be outside the Tinman too, but through the Tinman too, like, what has been the most, like, eye-opening thing for you, most helpful, etc., and why?
I would say, honestly, just like the breathing exercises. And there's more, but we can get into that later. But one thing I forgot to mention too, I have been diagnosed with OCD. It's it's tricky because like, obsessive thoughts come with more than just OCD. Like even like I think people like BPD or CPTSD also experience them. They're a little different because they have that theme, like that fear of abandonment. But I don't think a lot of people really realize how brutal like OCD really is. It's not just like being a neat freak or anything like that. Like it's thought spirals that if you continue to feed them will just absolutely eat you alive, and it feels impossible to overcome because it is. If you that's the thing. So like before I even started coming here, like the thing I was really trying to get a hold on once I understood, okay, I'm having these intrusive thoughts and loops, is like, okay, how do I at least get this under control? So I was like a crackhead. Like I was scrolling through Instagram just nonstop, looking at self-help posts to the point where like that's what 90% of my feed is, just about like OCD and other things related to intrusive thoughts. And like the one thing I kept seeing is like, do not engage with like that voice in your head, because you can't win an argument against OCD, because the second you settle something, another thought's going to come in, and this one's going to be even harder to do. I like to think of it as like kicking a beehive or something. Like you walk up and maybe you're getting stung by a few times by like a few different thoughts. But the second you go up to it, like, I'm going to kick this thing. That's when you engage with it, and then it gets out of control from that point.
I like that analogy.
And then, your bees are coming out and you're getting stung, you're swatting some down, and then they're sending off the alarm pheromones, and then more come out and you're getting stung more and more. And it's just like, it's like impossible to stop once you engage with it. So that's kind of like the approach is learn to get stung a few times, and then hopefully it'll hurt a little less, but just ignore it, And that was working for a long time. But kind of like, that's how it usually starts. Like I'll get a thought, and then if I choose to engage for whatever reason, because trying to ignore it, it's about 100 times harder than it actually sounds. But that's what leads to like the death spiral of emotions and the roller coaster. So that's where like the breathing exercises really came in big for me. Even like if I'm just kind of having like a busy brain day, and like there's been times I can just feel it happening. I'm like, oh God, I'm about to go for a ride, Yeah, just it's best, especially like when I'm like walking a middle loop, because like a lot of this is usually going on at work. And it's like, it's great because I can just take a second to ground myself, do some deep breaths, and get my breathing under control, and just kind of ground myself with my surroundings, I'm blanking on what we call the long exhale, the deep inhale and the longer exhale.
The soldier's breath.
The soldier's breath, yeah. That's the one I use the most to kind of just calm down. Then yeah, there's been times where it's been like completely like crisis averted. Like I just totally skip over like that afternoon of mood swings. So I mean, sometimes it just softens it. Sometimes I can just skip it completely. But that's been a total game changer for me for sure. It was something I was definitely skeptical about at first.
Well, it's weird, right? Like you have someone be like, "Hey, all right, Jacob, so you're suffering from anxiety. All I want you to do is shorter inhale, longer exhale." You're like, if it was that simple, why would I not be told this a long time ago?
Yeah.
Right? And like again, these are just ancient practices, time tested, been around for thousands of years. That's why they're still working, why they're still around. But all you're doing with the soldier's breath is just so our listeners know, is you're having anxiety or you're feeling like you're in this thought process or this loop or whatever it may be. The soldier's breath is it just helps calm the nervous system. It helps you to calm down, right? Mm-hmm. Just be more at peace, be more at balance, in balance with yourself. So, for example, it could be like a 2-second inhale through the nose and a 4-second exhale through the nose. if for me it's hard because I don't know what is going on in my nose, but like when I breathe through my nose and then I try to exhale, my exhale seems to be really short. So if I exhale through my mouth, and I think Gatlin taught me this, was to use like pretend like there's like a straw, right? So
Yep.
if I want to breathe in for 3, I try to breathe in out for 6 through my nose. It's like it goes too fast. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it does.
No,
Yeah.
it didn't work. So then I'll just breathe in for 3 through my nose, and then a short or a longer exhale through my mouth, where it's like through this straw, right? But that's just telling your body there's no tiger chasing you. You're okay. You're safe. You're calm. Because if you think about it, when someone says, just take a deep breath, Jacob, you're having a panic attack, just take a deep breath. Well, you take a deep breath and it's short, you're telling your body you need more oxygen, right? Like there's something coming after you. So you're increasing the oxygen flow through the blood. And when we do that, it's telling our body to, work harder, pump that oxygen a little bit more through the body. And you're actually telling the body the wrong thing. You're telling the body like, hey, we're going to have to fight, or we're going to have to like get up and run and do something, which there's a time and place for that as well. But that soldier's breath is wonderful because it's telling you short inhale, long exhale. I don't need a ton of oxygen. Nothing's chasing me. Nothing's fighting me. Nothing I have to run from, right? Like I'm just going to breathe here and be calm. So you literally are speaking to your nervous system and telling it to calm down. So it's fast. Like how long does it take you to feel it?
Only like a couple minutes usually. Yeah. And it's actually, it's so powerful that I forgot to mention this too. Like a couple nights laying hopelessly awake in the midst of my Zyprexa withdrawal, I actually tried the soldier's breath a couple different nights, just to see if that would do anything, and it actually did put me to sleep one night.
Good.
So yeah, it's definitely the real deal.
Good. And so you've done one of the group breathwork sessions, and so that is more of like a holotropic somatic breathwork, and that's for letting us literally shut off the thinking mind and allow us to feel and to like really go into the body. And did that seem to work for you?
Yeah. Because like going back to what I said about like really not feeling love like basically ever, that was one of those nights where I definitely did. And like I said, it's really euphoric for me. I don't know, I just have a hard time understanding the concept that people, if I did something dumb or said something dumb in the past that I hold on to, like, like people don't care, like it's okay. That's when I was like, I just remember what was going through my head at that point that night. It was just like, dude, no one cares about any of this stupid stuff that happens in the past. Like people just want you here. Like clearly they've done so much just to try to keep me here. It's like, I don't.
That's good.
Yeah. And it's
so
just like this overload of like appreciation and stuff, I guess.
And you felt it.
Oh yeah.
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 And was it like a physical like feeling for you? Like was it mental? Like where did you feel it? Or how did you feel it?
It was, I guess.
Can't explain it. Must try it. You all have to do it.
Yeah, it definitely would recommend to anyone. But no, I would say it was like a full body high. Like I definitely felt like this release mentally, but also like my whole body was like literally shaking.
Yeah.
It felt like I was floating. Like I remember, I actually was just thinking about this morning. I kind of forgot about it. Back in like high school, a couple of my friends, myself included, were like really interested by the concept of astral projection.
Me too. I love this.
Yeah, so like you can actually like leave your body, like that's so crazy. So like we were joking that like we'd all do it one night and then we'd just go and hang out like in the astral plane.
Your friends sound cool. I want to hang out.
Yeah,
with
we're all. Yeah, I don't know. we're
I
all
mean, that
characters.
could be a whole other podcast. I like this topic.
we're all something.
Let's get a coffee and talk about this.
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
But yeah, I remember trying it once and actually like you get to that point, once you're like actually really deeply relaxed, where people say, okay, now you're gonna start try to like pulling out of your body. And I remember getting to that point and then kind of like waking up. But that's kind of what I felt during the breathwork session. I felt like I was literally like starting to lift out because I was like so deeply focused and
quickly text
relaxed.
your friends, dudes, it's happening.
Yeah. So I was just thinking this morning, I was like, man, like that'd be fun to actually like try to put more effort into.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too, is like when you first try it, it's like, skeptical. Is this going to work?
I know a lot of people say it's hard too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is hard. It's like, it's work. This is like holotropic somatic breath work is. It is intense work, but it's beautiful. It's not for everybody. If someone's interested in it, for sure, like reach out. We totally would, walk you through it. Or maybe you're not from the area, we could help you find a provider that does offer these types of services to you as well. But it's very powerful because it helps you to literally shut off this thinking mind, tap into the subconscious mind that we kind of like don't ever want to tap into, but the subconscious mind is recording every single second of your life. And we hold on to everything there, and we don't realize like what we really hold in our body. All of these deep-seated emotions, these feelings, sorry, there's a gnat in here, these deep-seated feelings, emotions, etc., that are just like literally trapped in the body. We don't know how to release it, or we don't understand, like in the moment of the feeling that we had that we did suppress, that we shouldn't have suppressed it in the first place. Like you might have felt this, where it's like, it's not the time to feel depressed. It's not the time to feel sad, or I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna push it down, push it down, push it down. Or this trauma happened to you, or this whatever happened to you, and we push it down. This type of breath work can help you to bring it back to the surface, and it not necessarily do you have to like remember it, or you can feel it again. But we always like to say, in order to heal it, you have to reveal it and then let it go, right? So reveal it to heal it, then we let it go. Because our body remembers. And there's a really good book called The Body Keeps the Score. And in this book, it talks to us about like, I forgot who the author is, but wonderful book. And it's about all the things that ever happened to us, that our body literally remembers everything. Yeah. And so we have to do these different techniques and modalities. And we don't have to be medicated like crazy to work on these things, to get this out of our body, to understand our body, to put ourselves back into balance. Will the medicine be helpful for somebody who's just starting this journey? For sure, yeah. Maybe I don't know, like what are your goals are, but like maybe you're on the medication now, but in the future, you're doing these different things on your journey where all of a sudden you're able to talk to your psychiatrist and your doctor and gently start weaning yourself off of these things and trying these different techniques and modalities to help you. And no way, shape, or form am I telling you to get off your medication or like to quit cold turkey, but that might be something that, I don't know, like what are your thoughts on that? Yeah,
so I mean, I've talked about this, I think I mentioned it earlier too, like I wish I had known kind of in the beginning that medications were more just a Band-Aid. But I've talked about this a lot more with my psychiatrist since too. Right now, like my end goal is to just, I don't really know exactly what it looks like yet, but the goal is to get down to as few medications as possible. I think, so right now I'm on Bispirone for anxiety, Lamictal for a mood stabilizer, although, I mean, that one, I don't know, it genuinely like uplifts your mood like a little bit, unlike an antidepressant, which just flattens you, but I feel like sometimes my mood swings like are so extreme that I don't really know if it does much. But anyway, and then I take the propranolol, which is another anxiety med, before bed every night. I think fairly soon I could start trying to wean off the Bispirone. I don't feel nearly as anxious now as like I used to, especially socially, with one exception, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I think I'm about ready to start weaning off of that. I don't know, the Lamictal and the propranolol also, I haven't really experienced like any negative side effects from them. And from what I understand, you can't really build a tolerance to them either. So, I mean, yeah, it would be nice to be able to handle things without them someday, but I'm also not in a huge rush because I'm not seeing like these. There's nothing like pushing me to get off it like there was with the Zyprexa or like the Prestige. That was bad. But yeah, so it's weird now because like, yeah, like I kind of mentioned, like my social anxiety is gone. I still don't do big crowds. I never really have. Now it's kind of like flipped on its head though. I'm having an easier time like going out and meeting people. I still take a long time to like actually warm up to people. But it's getting easier for me to like go new places and meet new people.
Which is so funny for me because when I first met you, like it was so easy to talk to you. Like I was just like, this guy's you don't have social anxiety. Like you're literally so easy to like get to know. But I just thought I'm gonna throw that out there because it was a really good like first impression for me.
Yeah, and I think by the time we met, I was already kind of in that camp. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've always been good at like first impressions, I guess. I mean, I feel like too for most of my life, like I never really understood where I fit in. And I remember just going through school a lot. I feel like I always have I've kind of gotten good at just being like a chameleon, you know? Like I couldn't really adopt one true like personality, but I was pretty good at like fitting in enough to the point where I just felt accepted, I guess. But I never really connected with anyone on a super deep level until like my core group of friends really got together like in early high school. That and my family is like the only place I feel like I can really be myself most of the time. But yeah, now it's interesting now because going back to like, you know, I talked about like my attachment style, like the anxious avoidant stuff. It's like now it's backwards because I'm like kind of like scared of my friends sometimes, you know? Like I've chose distance in the past couple months because it's easier for me to just, I don't want to say like push them away, but it's like part of me wants to just revert back to just having like that surface level relationship because I feel like if I'm not too involved emotionally, then, you know, I can't get hurt if they were to just leave for some reason, you know? So it's like, I don't know. Most of the times it's fine. It's just worse with people that I've reached out to individually for help, you know, just to talk or whatever. But I don't know. I'm kind of shy now around some of them, and I'd like to fix that, but I think it's just gonna take time.
Well, maybe too. It's like you're on your journey. You're starting this like it's not like a new path, but it's a newer path, right? Like you're doing some different things and you know trying different modalities of healing for yourself. And sometimes it's like it's easier to be alone, right? It's easier to work on yourself and see and not have to explain all of this stuff to everyone all the time and be super vulnerable all the time. So that's okay, right? It's okay to it's like the roller coaster of life, the ebbs and flows. Like sometimes we want to be more emotionally attached and be more vulnerable, and sometimes we don't, and that's okay as well. But I would even like recommend trying to do some shadow work on that. Maybe your therapist has you do this too, but like where does it come from? Like we don't have to talk about it right now at all.
Yeah,
but
and that's
like,
the
where
thing.
does
It's
it
like
come from?
Yeah, the past month we've been digging into it, and
Good.
like we know exactly where it comes from.
Good.
It's not stuff I can really talk about
No,
here.
it's perfect.
But
yeah. I just figured I would say something like that. But
yeah.
So as we wrap up here, I would love to do a follow-up podcast episode with you because you're just starting your alternative approach journey to your mental health.
Absolutely.
And you are part of our 12-week Tinman trail, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I am.
And how has that been going for you?
It's been nice, and I think it was very. I think it was a really good call for me to choose to try to be in a group setting.
Good.
Just to push me a little bit more to
And for our listeners, it's a 12-week program where you're meeting with our holistic health practitioner, which is downstairs. We have like this Tinman hall. It's a community place where people are getting together. You get your lab work done. You guys first started with some language of breath with Gatlin, I believe. And then now working with Morgan for 3 weeks. So you're meeting every Tuesday night from like 5:30 till 7 or so.
Roughly, yeah.
Yeah. And you have like a class every week for 12 weeks. First was with language of breath, so nervous system regulation with Gatlin. 3 weeks with Morgan from Rewild Natural Health, and going over labs, blood work, cortisol, hormones, things like that. And then you'll do 3 weeks with me with Ayurvedic routines and rituals, and getting to know your body and learning to listen to the body. So it's a newer program, and we're so excited that to have you in this program to help us get some feedback and to revamp it if we need to, and just to keep switching things up to make it better and better. So
I think it's a really good approach, especially to start with. It kind of is like a broad spectrum for a bunch of different things. So
like holistic health, working on the whole person, and not just someone who is suffering from depression. It's not just working on the mental health, like here's a pill, here's this is what we're doing. It's different. It's like, all right, where we're looking at the whole person, mind, body, and spirit, and like what are some things that are out of balance, like what can we help with, or at least show people where their imbalance lies, and teach people to be their own health advocate, because you are your own best doctor. Like yourself better than anybody else. And when we get to know ourselves, we get to figure out like where we are out of balance, and then hopefully like through this program and through your own research and your own interest, learning more about this approach is like figuring out, how do I put myself back into balance? Like I'm feeling these different emotions, or my body's feeling like this, or this is what's happening with my sleep. Okay, I'm out of balance somewhere. How do I put myself back to balance naturally, right? And it can be through our lifestyle, through food, through movement, through our our mindset, our thinking mind, and all these different approaches. So I just want to thank you for coming on to the show with us. And
thanks for having me.
Are you open to do another episode with us?
Absolutely, this is a good time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your story, your journey so far, and we're excited to, do our next episode with you and see where you're at then. I
mean, hopefully this reaches someone and, motivates someone. I know healing is a long journey. It's a roller coaster. I don't know. Roller coasters can be kind of fun though sometimes. So
exactly. Don't you think too? Like it's part of being human, right? It's like to feel all of the emotions, to feel all of it. Like why else are we here, right? Why else are we here if we just felt happiness and bliss 24/7, we wouldn't know what it felt like. We would never know that was. You
wouldn't be able to appreciate it.
Exactly. You would just be like, oh, this is just real. Like this is just normal, right? This is my real life every day, all day. But if we don't get that depressed state, or in that hole, or feel like the darkness, we don't appreciate the light.
Right.
And it's beautiful that you are sharing your story, because I feel like when we share our story and we are vulnerable in front of however many people watch this, right? You're going to help so many other people. And when we are vulnerable and we tell our story of our own healing journey, you become a healer yourself. Like you are helping other people to heal because they hear your story. Like, I'm not alone. I'm not doing this alone, and I'm not the only one that's going through this. Or wow, he really motivates me to do better and to work on myself and my journey. So thank you so much for being on the show with us. Thank you.